It's the 26th of February, and after a leisurely breakfast, I reluctantly leave Casa Crescente and start making my way towards my next destination. At this stage, I have 6 days to make it from the Picos to Mchik in Portugal, where I'll be trail riding for a few days. This journey would be around 900 kilometers if I were going direct, but I'm gonna see a few places along the way. My plan for the next 3 days is to make my way into Porto, taking the N222 along the Douro Valley, then make my way to Lisbon to visit a friend. This isn't how things would work out in the end, but this is my plan at the time. So today I make my way towards a small town called Villamartín de Don Sancho. It's only a couple of hours away, as I wanted to make this a relatively short day. I have plenty of time to get where I'm going, and I have a whole month of driving ahead of me. I arrive in the early afternoon, spend a couple of hours relaxing in the sun, then realise the local shops and restaurants aren't open. So I head around 40 kilometers to Guardo, the closest town, to get myself some food to cook dinner and breakfast the next morning. After spending a bit of time looking around online, I find myself a guest house to stay in along the Douro Valley. So I set my route in Google Maps and make my way from Villamartín de Don Sancho to São Martin de Mouros. This is around 350 kilometers. I'll mainly just be crossing ground for the first half of the day. I can see a lot of twisty roads on my maps once I cross into Portugal. I generally take twisty roads to indicate some kind of hills and mountains, so I'm excited to see what the Douro Valley has to offer. I think my accommodation here should get an honourable mention. I stayed in a guest house called Casa Cardoso. This house is 150 years old and has been passed down through the family, so it was really authentic to this part of Portugal and had loads of character, not to mention the views from the bedroom. The owner, Sergio, was so friendly and welcoming and recommended a great place just around the corner to get good food for dinner that evening and breakfast the next day. He was surprised to hear I hadn't tried port wine and even dropped a small glass to my room for me to try. This area is really safe and there's plenty of room on the street to park my bike. 10 out of 10 experience. The next morning I set off along the N222, winding my way through the heart of the Douro Valley towards Porto. It's a short day on paper, just 90 kilometers from where I stayed, but with all the hills, hairpins, coffee stops and time spent admiring the sights, the ride took close to 3 hours. The Douro Valley is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and at over 1,700 years old, it's one of the oldest demarcated wine regions in the world. It's the birthplace of port wine. The terraced vineyards are carved into the hills that shape an almost otherworldly landscape. The N222 is a dream road for motorcyclists. The road surface is excellent, the route is constantly shifting, there's tight twisties and sweeping curves set against a backdrop of surreal countryside. Coming here from northern Spain was a complete shift in scenery. The air is noticeably warmer, and with the Douro River feeding the land, everything feels more lush here. It's greener, warmer and more alive. As I got closer to Porto, I was pulled straight into the chaos of Friday afternoon traffic. I'm not sure what I expected. I don't think I realised just how big the city actually was, but suddenly I was caught in a mess of roundabouts, intersections, slip roads and flyovers, and I took every wrong turn there was to take. Overwhelmed, overheated and borderline panicking, I found myself praying to anyone who might be listening just to help me find my way out. Coming from the peaceful flowing roads of the Picos and the Douro Valley, this felt like being pulled into a whirlpool after a relaxing warm bath. So when I finally found my accommodation and had parked the bike and unloaded my gear, I didn't go into Porto to explore the sights like I had imagined I would. I lay in my bed and stared at the wall for a couple of hours just to recover. That evening I found somewhere nearby to have dinner. I stocked up on supplies for the bike and got ready to head out early the next day. My experience of driving into Porto was a reminder of why I got a motorbike, so I can take the long way, the back roads and visit quiet and beautiful places in nature. I did not get the bike to commute and I do not like driving in cities if I don't have to. So I contacted my friend in Lisbon to let him know that I couldn't face another city visit, sorry Carl, and altered the remainder of my route to Mchik. My new plan was to go from Porto back along the whole length of the N222 until I met the N2, where I'd start heading south to a town called Viseu. It had crossed my mind that I hadn't seen a huge amount of bikers since I'd arrived in Spain and Portugal. I put it down to the time of year and didn't think much of it. As it turns out, I'd only been here on weekdays, and they all come out to play on the weekend. So my last day in the Douro Valley consisted mainly of me being overtaken by really fast bikes. After this final stretch through the Douro Valley, getting overtaken by all the bikes and taking in the last views along the N222, I started making my way south towards the N2. I'd expected the N2 to be this fast flowing road all the way down, but it turns out it's more of a route than a single road. Some sections were quick and open, others wound through villages and got a bit confusing. I definitely underestimated how long it would take, and in the end I had to take the motorway just to make it to Mchik in time. So, there were a couple of days of quieter riding after this, but the next time I started filming, I was deep into the trails in Mchik, and that's what's coming up next. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe to get a notification when the next video goes live, and as always, thank you so much for watching.